Let's talk about buying a property in Italy. Have you ever thought about buying a property? We did, as have many others. In our new series, From Dream to Reality, here are their stories. Make it happen. All right, welcome to Casa Mia Salentina. I'm Anna.
I'm Michael.
And have you ever thought of buying your own property in Italy?
Definitely.
We did. So back in 2017, it was one of our dreams, and it wasn't until 2020 until we decided to do something about it. And of course, we had all those roadblocks and detours that happened in that period.
Yes, for sure.
But we continued on through those roadblocks and detours, and we've found a lot of other Italian dream chasers amongst us that did exactly the same thing in that period. So this series, Dream to Reality, Make It Happen, is about people that have actually done the same thing as we did. So we hope their stories inspire you. And in today's video, we have, some of you may have already met her or followed her on her channel. We have Marisa Raoul from Tuscany, from Tales from Tuscany, and we're going to start asking her questions about her journey. So Michael will do the question asking.
Welcome, Marisa. Hello.
Thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, I now use my Italian name since I've remarried.
Lovely.
So I'm gone back to Marisa Barillaro now.
I love that.
My Italian name. I live here on that passport, so it's nicer that I've gone back to my original name.
Oh, good on you. Yes. Well, I do the same. I've always stayed with Ocello, Anna Ocello.
Yes.
I've done the same. Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah. Very good.
So welcome. We know it's hot over there at the moment.
Yeah.
So
we wish.
we try to get this done for you so that you don't start roasting in the home there.
That's all right. I'm starting to cool down, but just so that the viewers know, if I look very pink, I actually am very pink.
Not a problem at all. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll start with our questions. Okay. So, what factors influenced your decision to buy a home in Tuscany and live there part-time?
Well, to be honest with you, it was pretty much the world situation at the time. Like you just mentioned, I lost my job throughout the pandemic and was there, being someone with a really busy mind, was just there going crazy thinking, what can I do with my days? And because my dream had always been to find a home in Italy, I thought, well, I'll use all this precious time that I have now on my hands to do that research. So it was pretty much, that was what triggered that obsession with finding it now. And it was a good time to have a dream, if you know, I'm sure you understand what I mean, to make you think of future positivity, because everything was just a bit doom and gloom at the time. Also because financially it made sense for me, because I just was getting to an age, and I spoke to my, at the time, new partner, who I'm now married to, and said, this is my dream. I think it makes great financial sense for us to do this, because at our ages, if we're going to be together, we don't want to be looking at spending ridiculous amounts of money in Australia, where, in fact, we probably won't even be able to get a mortgage at our age. So it just made perfectly great sense financially as well. So they're probably the two biggest triggers, I suppose, that set us on the journey. Yeah,
it's true. A lot of people are saying exactly the same thing.
For sure.
And not just in Australia, obviously in America, it's not just, I mean, Australia is very expensive, but it's in America and other places too. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah. Okay, what was the process like for purchasing a home in Italy, and how did you choose Tuscany specifically?
Yes.
The process, I had plenty of time on my hands. So the process was that and I think you've spoken about this before, I am a really in-depth researcher. I think it comes from my writing background. So I literally just made a process of pretty much searching all the different areas of Italy that I knew I loved, and hitting Google Earth and looking at the villages and driving through them. And I used that process, and if I saw something I liked, I then put the name of that village into the different search engines that I was using, Italian real estate, engines like Immobiliare.it, Gateway, Idealista, all those different ones, and would then go from there. So it was very methodical in a way, I suppose. Tuscany was kind of... It was just sort of serendipitous, I suppose, because I was looking in other areas that I was more familiar with. And I loved Tuscany, but I really wasn't as familiar with it as many people, perhaps. I knew Italy very well, but not Tuscany. But my family in Umbria kept on saying, go further west, Marisa, it's better. They were pushing me away. They obviously didn't want me living up the road. No, just jokes aside. But, they kept on saying, we think if you can afford it, we think you're better off investing there for different reasons. So I thought, I'll have a look. And when I spoke to David about it, he said, I love Tuscany because he'd been here on holidays himself with his family. And it pretty much just stemmed from there, and we fell across this property really, obviously I always say someone led me here kind of thing, because it was just such a great find. And that's how it happened. But neither of us really had the intention initially of searching in Tuscany, but here we are, and we're very, very happy.
It's incredible where the road leads you at the end.
Yeah,
it's really, Tuscany is a love of ours.
Yeah,
there was
we love Tuscany,
one of like Sicily, Puglia, and Tuscany were on our list, and as you know, Tuscany's our next.
But
it's funny how, as I said, you just don't know where that road is going to lead you. But when you've got that passion, you've got that drive, and there's this force inside you, no matter what, nothing's going to stop you. You're just going to go straight through, and you'll get there. It doesn't matter. It's just it's stronger than you. It's actually stronger than you. So
yes, I think we sound very similar in personality.
I think all Italian dream chasers do, don't we? We all have this same passion, and everyone. I think so. It's so true. Yes. So true.
Yeah. Can you describe the emotional journey of balancing life between Australia and Italy, and how it affects your sense of home and community?
Yeah, this is a fairly strong one for me at the moment, because obviously I'm sitting here on my own at the moment, as you know, because my husband has to do what they dearly call here the Schengen Shuffle. Yes. He doesn't have citizenship like I do to live in Italy, so therefore he has to come and go. I could stay here all year round now if I wanted to, although I don't for family reasons. So it means at the moment our existence is... we come together, he then leaves me, I'm here alone for a period of time working. I want to go back and obviously don't stay here also because I have my elderly mother in Australia and dear friends and family. It is an emotional pull backwards and forwards. I suppose because, I'm sorry, I have something dinging somewhere.
No, you're fine.
There we go. I suppose because I have lived overseas a lot during my life, I become accustomed to things probably easier than others, and I adapt easier than others. But nevertheless, it is when we're newlyweds. We've only just had our first year anniversary, so
and congratulations.
Thank you so much. And it was hard this year. We really, really hated the idea of him having to go back to Australia, but that's just the way it is. So I think that's something that people have to keep in mind also when they see us perhaps doing things, is that you do make sacrifices for sure when you do this. It's important not to go into something naively thinking it will all be roses. For some it is, but in many cases, many people are like us.
That's
and they do have to go backwards and forwards, and it's not always easy emotionally. So there is that. But we're willing to accept those challenges because we just love what we have so much.
Yeah, it's worth the sacrifice, isn't it? It really, I mean, just mentally, physically, just it's worth it. It really is worth it.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure.
How has your new lifestyle of spending 6 months in Italy and 6 months in Australia changed your daily routine and overall perspective of life?
Well, it definitely makes me appreciate what I have in each place, that I know I go back to, you know, a comfortable home somewhere else, even though I don't own a home in Australia anymore.
Yeah.
And I've always loved the European way of life, because I have been living in Italy on and off since I was a very young girl, and also in France for 10 years. So as far as the routines and things go, I work from home in both places, so therefore that doesn't change a lot. What I do, though, changes, but the routine's similar, except here I love the routine of everything shutting down, and I lie down on my couch or somewhere cool, wherever I happen to be. And I might not have a siesta as far as fall asleep, but I definitely switch off, don't take phone calls, don't answer anyone. You know, it's me time to either, you know, watch one of your lovely vlogs or make one of mine, or just chill to something or whatever it might be. So I love that part of the routine here in Italy, which I don't necessarily do in Australia. But they both have things. I think my routine, I've kind of created a life now where it's fairly similar, except that now I'm obviously caring for my mother a lot in Sydney. So that's been a major change, say, in the last couple of years.
No, we find, even talking the other day with Mark and Lee, that there's this something tugs at their heart and pulls them, like they're sad, like the day before they have to leave Italy. They're sad, but not when they leave Australia to go to Italy. They don't have that, you know, which
Get me out of here.
Yes, pretty much. Whereas, and we're pretty much the same too. I mean, you know, and we're like you, the tug of war with the family here. But you know, I've signed out of Australia. I've signed out. My heart and soul is in Italy. I feel more at home there, and that's what I notice. A lot of people are saying the same thing. So it's that community, that culture, that lifestyle. It's more than we actually think. It's more than we actually think. It's not just buying a house in Italy. It's not a that sort of dream. It's it's more than that.
It's buying a new life.
No, that's true. It's true.
What challenges do you face refurbishing and renovating your home, and how do you overcome them? Your last video was interesting.
Well, actually, I'm just about to make a video with a rather major thing that happened in the last couple of days. A big smack and a very large sum of money that's involved, because, I think, again, I use the word not being naive, and I'm not being critical when I say that, but I think because I'm so lucky that I've done this now 15 times. This is my 15th time that I've done, so I've been someone that loves to create homes or renovate them and things through my life. So I think I stay a lot calmer, but nevertheless, I did know, I suppose I went into this with my eyes wide open, that if you buy a very, very, very old house and you start to touch it, that something might go wrong, and that's what's happened this week. And I don't want to say too much because I'll give away what's going to happen.
That's all right.
No, keep your lips sealed. That is, keep your lips sealed. They'll have to watch and wait.
Exactly, but there are absolutely challenges. But with the challenges, I find that here I succumb them a lot easier, because even though Italians can be very passionate, and every now and again my builder makes me laugh out loud because it's like, oh, it's a disaster, and then with it's all fine, and it's just wonderful. It's like watching a Fellini film or something. You know? It's great, but at the same time they're wonderful and they know what they're doing. And that when the doorbell just rang in the middle of us wanting to film just before, that was my builder saying, Marisa, come and have a look at the colour we're putting, because they started doing a colour on the wall the other day. It was totally the wrong colour. And that's not my big disaster. My big disaster is bigger. But I'm going, no.
Yes.
And he said, oh, it's not that colour. I said, no, I never said that colour. And he went, I'm glad I've only done a little bit. So now they got the new colour, the colour that was meant to be. And he wanted to make sure before he went too far that it was the right colour. I went, no, stop. So I find they're wonderful to deal with, and I've never had issues People complain about the delays here of getting workmen, or you have to wait, or it takes longer. But that's all over the world.
Yes.
I've done 15 of these kind of things now.
Yes.
I've never been in any country where you don't encounter that.
No, it happens here. It happens everywhere.
Yes. Absolutely.
Everywhere.
Yes. And I think that what I love here is that I might wait, but boy, what I wait for
is worth it. Yes.
Fantastic.
It's so true. Yeah. It's true. I mean, it's hard to get tradesmen anywhere. So, that's right. That's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
We know.
Well, the facade of your place looks fantastic now, doesn't it?
Yes, we wanted to mention that.
Yeah, incredible.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. I like stone facades. I actually prefer them to seeing the
Everyone needs to go and check out her YouTube.
Yes.
Give it a plug.
Give it the plug.
Oh, thank you. It's called Tales from Tuscany and Beyond, So, yes, you'll see my lovely little house that's had a big facelift. Beautiful. Yes, I'll enjoy that. Thank you.
How did you stumble across your new career in assisting others to purchase homes in Italy? Did you expect this to happen at all, or just sort of out of the blue?
It was and the word stumble is a good word, because honestly, talk about fall into something, literally. So it was early days when we had just been talking about our process of coming here, and we had settled, and I think we had just come here. Yes, we'd come here for the first time, literally come and open the door for the first time, and we're here sort of 6 weeks. And then I went back to Australia, and a lady via the email address that I had attached to my YouTube contacted me and said, could she have a call with me, a lady in Australia? Yes. And I said, yes, sure. Anyway, she was from the Gold Coast, and a more mature lady who had just retired, sold her company, and she said, look, my dream has always been to have a home in Italy, but I'm as Australian as they come. I don't speak a word of Italian, and I just had no idea how I was ever going to be able to do this. So therefore I thought, I really need to reach out. And she said, I reached out to someone else, an online company who also I think has, something on YouTube. But she said, they're obviously so busy, they never got back to me.
Wow.
So she said, when I saw you, I thought, well, she's another lady here in my country, and she's just been through this, so it's all fresh in her mind. Surely she can help me. And so we got on the phone and had a chat. And in that first chat, I understood her determination, as you were saying before, those dream chasers.
Yes.
And she said, okay, Marisa, I want you to help me do this and this if you can. How much is it? And let's start today. And I said, I don't have a clue. How much is it? I don't know.
Oh, no.
So we sort of laughed, and I said, gosh, you really are keen to get going. So the amazing thing was, because I'd just gone through our search to buy this house, I literally did know every single property in Chianni that was for sale at that time in her price range, because it was the same price range as ours.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
So when she described what she wanted, I said to her, this was within 24 hours, let's say, the first conversation.
Yes.
I said to her, I'm going to send you some photographs and a link to a place I looked at. It seems to be ticking all the boxes of what you've just said.
Wow.
So the next day she came back and she said, okay, where do I sign up? Let's buy it today. And
oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Boom. And that was it. And she loves it. It went really quickly. It was just boom, boom, boom. And thank goodness it was, because that gave me the confidence then to understand what the processes were to help others.
That's fantastic.
And it was basically just, taking them by the hand and saying, this is what you'll need next, this is what you do next, going through documents with them so that they felt assured, that everything was fine. And it was really satisfying for both sides, obviously.
Oh,
and I just
wonderful.
loved it. And it's fun looking at houses for people that I can't.
So I love looking at houses.
Doing that too,
I love looking at houses. I don't know what it is. I mean, I was a real estate agent for a couple of years, but that's different. In Australia, it's different. It's nothing like, I mean, not even the houses are the same, let alone the system. But
that's right. It's very different.
It's very different, yes.
And the beauty of it is that, as I always say to people, I'm not a real estate agent, and that's something I always reiterate, which is the good part of this, is that I'm just helping people find their dream.
Yes.
I'm not trying to sell them something. That's the difference, is I'm just trying to find the correct thing for them, and then the agents obviously take over. But I do all the interim for them as well, of course, and negotiate and do everything that you need to do in Italian and stuff. So it just works out really well, and I love it. So I'm so glad I stumbled into it that day. That's for sure.
I think it's wonderful. It's like you said, you're not selling. It's you're serving them. You're serving them. You're actually giving them a service. You're helping them. So rather than selling to them, you're being there as they're in between. It's fantastic. It's beautiful.
As my husband always says, I'm sharing all of my knowledge that I've gained, because over the years, obviously, even when I was saying about having done so many renovations or builds in the past, if someone asks me about, how do you do this, or I have so much knowledge gained, life experience and knowledge in all those things. So it's not just the finding of the house. I go beyond and help people also with their architects and sharing where you can do this and do that and find this, and even giving them suggestions for interiors if they want me to, if they need that kind of guidance, because I've just done it so much. So it really is giving them it's sharing your knowledge and being of service, for sure.
Yes, definitely. And that's what it's about, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing, you can't take it with you. You may as well, I mean, that's what it's about. Like, as dance teacher, all my knowledge is to teach them those steps, but it's more than teaching, because they're people at the end of the day. They've come in there, they've got no confidence, and like you said, they don't have confidence when they come to you, and you've gained that confidence. So it's both of you gaining confidence. You're both growing together with that service. So that's big. That's very big. Yeah.
Precisely, yes.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. Can you share some memorable experiences or success stories of helping people buy homes in Italy?
Well, I think one just the lady I just spoke about, that's number one. But in all honesty, without specific cases, like, for example, I've had some beautiful American people who I think I did interview once, and they came to me very excited to find a house here in Chianni after watching what we'd done, and they just loved the process so much, and they were people that wanted to pretty much, sell up what they had and invest in Italy. And when I found the first house for them, and straight away they said, we'd like a second one.
Wow.
And so literally they bought two, and then they wanted some land, and they bought land. So it was kind of like, wow, this is incredible. They trusted me so much, and they never came here once.
Wow.
They bought them all sight unseen. So I've had quite a few clients. In fact, I say it's 95% easily that have bought sight unseen with me, and that I found the properties fairly quickly. So I love that. Initially it felt really strange because doing it for yourself and taking that plunge and, just jumping, making that leap of faith is one thing. But when you have others that trust in you so much that they do it, it can be daunting. But I've always said to people, it's your dream, so don't ever let me influence that. I'm here to show you, but then you must do what you feel in your heart is right for you. And fortunately, so far, everyone's just been so happy. So I'm really happy for that.
I hear what you're saying. You felt like it's a responsibility when it's someone else, whereas when it was yourself, you thought, let's just fall into it. That's great. That's really good.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to others considering sort of buying a home in Italy and transitioning to living there full time, basically? Have you got any advice for them?
Yes, look, there's a million things, but obviously we only have a certain amount of time. But I'd say initially, I think initially, and at this, I thought about this question, and to me, I follow a lot of groups on social media and Facebook and different things like that, where I see a lot of people that talk about or ask questions about coming. And I think the biggest advice I could give is that, once again, it's making yourself more knowledgeable about things straight up. I see a lot of people that write things, for example, my husband and I have decided to go and live in Italy in 3 months' time. Where should we live?
Yeah.
They ask others, where should we live? Or, or we want to go and live in Italy and he's a plumber and I'm a blah, blah. Will we get jobs? And I think people have to stop. It takes a while to do these things. You can't just throw yourself and think in 2 months' time I'm going to have a home, a job. No, it's not like that. And stop and think, if in your own country, if you have someone immigrate to your country, does it work that quickly for them? No. So there are processes you have to work through. So the advice would be is inform yourself to start with. Make sure that you understand what kind of visa you're going to need to be able to stay there for a certain amount of time or live there. Make sure you understand already what it is you want out of your life and that it's not going to be simple, because I think sometimes people watch other people in countries and it might seem like all roses and easy, but it's not, especially if you don't have the language. So, watch me, watch other people that have done it, inform yourself, make yourself more knowledgeable so that when you go into the process, if you're still happy to do that and you know that you can physically do it, that you're going in with clarity and you know where you want to be. I've recently had, for example, some people that came to me looking for homes, and I was concerned that it wasn't going to go well because they wanted to look in about 6 or 7 regions of Italy.
Oh, no.
And to me, that's just going to cause total confusion to do that. You need to pinpoint what it is you really want at the very beginning. Do I want to be in the country by the sea, in a city, in a village, secluded, not secluded, and then work from there? Because otherwise you just get totally lost. There's just too much going on. So that's probably the initial thing I think that's really important.
I think that's great advice. Very good advice, actually, there, Marisa. I don't think people do enough research. I think the planning and the research I think 2 to 3 years is reasonable. Like, really is. It's not something you just wake up, read something in a forum or see a movie and fall in love with the movie, read a book and just go out and do it. I think research it for you, not the people you are following, because their circumstance is different. So that research is so important. So that advice you've just given, I agree with that 100%. Totally. And if they don't have their location to start with, that already for me signals trouble. Like, there's something not right here. They don't even have their location. So they really need a checklist and take the time to plan it out. Like, just do it correctly. Do it correctly the first time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a great advice. Great advice there. Yes.
Thank you.
What are your long-term plans and goals, if you can tell us, both personally and professionally, as you plan to eventually live in Italy full-time?
Yes.
Maybe?
Well, we're working really hard at this, obviously, and it again, it's just like the last question. We are well aware that this is going to take time, and we talk about it as a couple very often, saying we know that we're in the processes of. We can't rush forward. You can't get from A to Z without going through all the other letters. You just have to make your way through.
Yes.
So we're being very patient about the process. Obviously, what I'm doing at the moment between the vlogging, which I'm enjoying, and that's a sharing process, which I love. And then also with the house, the property finding and consulting with people now. And David is going through the same processes of working out what he can continue to do. I kind of our hope is that if what we're doing is sufficient for both of us, that we could work together in it, because he loves it as well and he has started to help me. So that would be our ultimate goal. That would be fantastic if that could work. Also, the apartment downstairs at the moment, which is being created, our initial real, dream for doing that was very much for family and friends, because our home is not all that big, and so therefore we really wanted to have somewhere to accommodate other people.
Yeah.
And in a really comfortable way where they could be a bit separate. So, it has its own little kitchenette and bathroom and everything else. But, of course, when no one's here, we're hoping, of course, in the future as well that can bring some income as well and become a little rental, but probably very part-time-ish, not on a full-time basis.
Yeah.
So they're kind of the initial goals. Also, once or twice, I haven't spoken about it a lot because, again, it's going to be a long-term thing, but I mentioned once that on our stories that we do, that we were getting involved in an olive grove. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, we do.
Yes. So that's not something we've purchased. Other friends have purchased it, but because they're not going to be here very much and would like someone to be more involved with it, we asked if we could lease a portion of it. So we're leasing part thereof of the land and one of the little old rustici, old, sort of farmhouses on it. And then that way we get to be involved with that as well. So that's also another long-term plan of how we can develop that a little bit for our use, maybe share it with others, be able to make our own olive oil, do the harvest each year. Yeah. I had a bad injury this year, you might remember. Yeah. So this year actually has got a window. I won't be picking olives this year. But from next year we hope that will be able to kickstart next year and get more involved in that as well. So they're probably the three major things, I suppose, at this time that are taking up all our energies.
But that's good. Your life's so full, or just in that, it's full. And the fact that you're turning your home not just as a liability as a house, but as an asset, because you've got that other part downstairs that you can others can come and enjoy Chianni, Tuscany, and stay there and enjoy that. Yeah. That town life, it's just, I think that's a wonderful idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, and the olive grove, wow.
Yes, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It was a bit disappointing that we couldn't sort of get as involved this year, but look, that's just life, and making plans. You make plans, but of course you know that life's going to just jump in and take over sometimes.
Of course.
And that's all right. That's fine too. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, yes. It'll happen. It will happen.
Yes.
It's wonderful. Michael's reading the questions because my eyes aren't as good as Michael.
Okay, so what are some aspects of Italian culture that you've come to appreciate the most?
Well, for example, a really good example is just this past weekend. So Saturday night, 2 nights ago, we had the most beautiful village dinner. They do that a lot here, which is really, really lovely. And in the Piazza della Chiesa, which is a triangular piazza here in Chianni, which is fantastic, and they hold lots of music concerts and things, they set up 3 very, very, very long dining tables. There were I think, 250 people having dinner together, and it was arranged by residents of Chianni to thank those who have come to live in Chianni. So the dinner was called Chianni Loves You.
Isn't that beautiful?
Chianni hearts you. And it just, I get goosebumps. Speaks volumes of the community I've entered into, that they hold these kind of things. They have all their other sagra and festa and all those wonderful things that I just love. But that in particular was something that I thought, gosh, that speaks so much about the people here, how welcoming they are, how they want to do something to give back to us and invite us to all be together with them. So it was half village, half, expat community, whoever was here. But it was a beautiful meal that they'd all got together and cooked and organised, and, one couple of ladies had done all of the desserts, and the food was sensational, and the ambience was so relaxed and lovely and friendly and happy, and they had great music playing. And it was funny, they never played one Italian song the entire evening. They had this playlist going, and we were all laughing because I said they're covering every base here, like for people from elsewhere, because it was every kind of genre of music you could ever imagine, from like country and western to this to that.
That's funny.
But it was really good fun, and I just love. Yeah,
that
I
would
love
have been
that
amazing.
part.
Yeah,
That is special. We actually our interview the other day. We asked them the question and of what things that they were looking forward to do.
Yeah.
Because they have to do Schengen Shuffle. Unfortunately, these ones, this couple, but they actually said that was one of their dreams, to do one of these lovely long dinners, you know, in a winery or in the towns, that sort of thing. So, and then here you are, you just experienced it a couple of nights ago, and
it's probably us too, isn't it? So
it's on our list. Yes, it's on our list, and we were discussing it with them, and they said it was on their list. Yes,
as well.
So it was just coincidence that we've found someone else that had the same sort of goal, and now you're talking about it happened in your town, so that's just in the space of 48 hours. It's like they say when you talk about something and then you hear about it more and more. Yes, so and I think they do it in Vico Pisano, they do it at Villa Cosano. There's a few different areas that do it there in Tuscany, and it's just beautiful.
I think so.
The community feel.
Yes. This was very, very special.
Definitely special.
That might answer the next question, actually. Can you talk about a specific moment when you felt truly at home in Tuscany?
Well, that's a different answer. I thought about that one, and the first thing that always springs to mind, because it's a story that I actually share a lot with people. I don't know whether I've shared it online at all, though, so this might be a first here. So when the first time we came here to Chianni, and again, as I said, we'd never been to look for homes, we just turned up. And I stayed on a couple more weeks than David because we had to get a few things sorted out with the house that were really important that we wanted to do that first year. So he left to go back to Australia and I was here. And in the first couple of days, I was, a bit quiet and mopey, I suppose. You're always a little bit quiet in those first couple of days. And I went down to the local cafe. We have a few different places, obviously, in the village, but the one that's literally a 2-minute walk down the road from me is one of the main bar. It's called Bar Centrale, so it's one of our main cafes here. And it's run by 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a sister. And they are awesome young people. It was their dad before who passed away quite young, and they took it on from him. But they do a beautiful job, and it's a beautiful cafe, and they're so great. And the middle son, Lorenzo, has the most incredible personality. He is so funny and vibrant, but a really caring, lovely person. And he's just the life of the party. And I always remember from that first couple of weeks we were here, straight away he was very welcoming. And I went down probably 2 mornings after David had left and to have a coffee, and he said, "How are you going, Marisa?" And I said, I'm a little bit sad because David's gone. He went, "Oh no." He said, "But you have family here." And I said, "Yeah, I do, but they're in Rome and Umbria, in different areas." And he went, No, Marisa, you misunderstood. You have family here. We are the family.
Wow, I got goosebumps.
Yes, me too.
I got goosebumps. Oh my gosh.
I had tears well up in my eyes. And I said to him, that is the most beautiful thing. And he said, "Marisa, we mean it. You have a home here. You are now part of our family, and anything you need, we are here for you."
Wow.
And that was within just a couple of weeks of us being here. And that has never left me. And that young man and I are actually really good, what I call really good friends now. And he's always, it's funny, the other day I walked down to the bar when I arrived and he started singing opera, Marisa. He's very funny. Everyone laughs and everything. He's got a wonderful character. And he gives you these welcomes that you think, oh gosh, But honestly, it's just one of those things you think, yes, I was meant to be here. Where else would I want to be? But with people like that.
That's amazing.
That's just, that's hit a chord on me.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes, that is just, and like I said, you just know. you know you're home.
Yeah.
You know you're
Yes.
home. Isn't it beautiful?
I'm with family.
Yes.
I'm with family.
That's it.
Even when I'm alone, I'm with family.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's lovely.
Yes.
That is really nice.
Yes.
It's so nice too. Yeah. That make me almost teary.
It made me teary, I can tell you.
Yeah. Oh,
I better ask another question to get us off that subject.
I think so. Yes, because yes, that sort of got
Only
me.
a couple left.
That sort of got me a lump in the throat then.
How has the Italian way of life influenced your outlook and daily routines?
Sorry, could you repeat that for me, Michael?
How has the Italian way of life influenced your outlook and daily routines?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. But I suppose with me it's a little bit different. I don't know. It's probably the same with Anna as well. Obviously, the Italian way of life, I've been living it since I was a child in Australia.
Yes.
I come from a family that when I was a little girl were very strong with traditions, and even though my mother's English, my mother was so in love with anything Italian that she embraced that as well. So I had my mum and dad had a florist shop in the heart of Sydney when I was a little girl, and so they would leave me before it was time to go to say school, preschool. They would leave me with my Nonna Julia, and my two zias, so my sisters, my father's two sisters that lived close to my nonna, and then there was another sister, and those three women took care of me when I was a little girl. So therefore I grew up surrounded by that real, Italian female thing of them constantly, they were either, crocheting or making things for the house. My auntie would always make these beautiful lace covers, and they were making passata. And when it was time to make the passata, we'd use the garage in my mum and dad's house because it was a huge garage. And so they'd set up all the tables, to put the through the machines. My uncle made wine. He'd go out to the farms and get grapes and make his own wine. And this was all in suburbs of Sydney.
Yes.
So I've always been involved with that. And it was funny when I got to teenage years and, you get to 15, 16 in Australia and people are saying, oh, have you ever had a drink of wine or alcohol or something? And I'm going, yes, since I was about 4, I think. And they go, what? I say, oh, my dad used to give me like un goccio, a little bit like this filled up with lemonade. So I was, doing, and I have an espresso cup at home that Mum still has on the shelf that's like this big.
Yes.
It's like for babies.
Yeah.
And from the time I was a tiny girl, I used to get given a little tiny bit of espresso,
Wow.
So... But I'm not a big drinker, and I don't drink thousands of litres of coffee because I suppose it's just always been part of the routine.
That's right.
So I've always loved those, home cultures and all those things all the way through my life, and I've always been involved in them. And, my aunties, when I would come to Italy when I was an adult, they'd say, Marisa, we haven't taught you how to make gnocchi yet. So we'd have a gnocchi day where we'd all get together and make gnocchi or, all those kind of things. So that part of my life is very, very special to me, and they're memories that have always been really, really precious to me.
Yeah, I can so relate to everything you said. My job was to put the basil in the passata bottles, at the age of 5 and 6. That was my job, and we all had a job in the family to do things like, so I can, as you're saying that, I could picture my whole childhood, but exactly the same. I have the problem that I have today, which you may encounter, is I'm born here in Australia, schooled here in Australia, spent a lot of time in Italy. I feel more at home in Italy than I do here in Australia. So when I feel like a fish out of water. So I'm Australian with Italian heritage. Obviously when I go to Italy, I'm still Australian with Italian heritage. But I feel more at home in Italy because the things that they do there in Italy is how I was brought up at home in my Italian home. We were brought up so traditional, like you've just said, exactly the same. So even though we're brought up in Australian schooling, surrounded by Australian culture, Australian friends, the tradition at home, everything was Italian, was Sicilian. So
yes.
So I find myself, I feel a fish like, fish out of water.
I totally understand.
Yes,
that resonates very strongly with me as well, Anna.
Yes, yeah. So I just wonder other people, Americans, Canadians that may feel the same. I'm sure it's not just us.
For sure.
Especially if you grew up in a Italian home, like with the tradition of Italian parents and grandparents, and everything, all the traditions that they make at home, food, religious traditions, quite strongly. It's incredible. Wow, that's lovely.
What are your favourite local customs or traditions that you've adopted?
Well, I'm going to definitely adopt that yearly Chianni Loves You dinner, that's for sure.
Yes.
But apart from that, I think just on because a lot of things here, the festas and things that they have, I love being here for those, but I can't always be, obviously. Yeah. But I do love that they have very, very ancient traditions here. This village where I live is Tuscany, so it's a very ancient village, obviously. And it's very old. And some of the traditions here date back many, many, many centuries. And, for example, one of the biggest ones, which I have missed every year so far, but when we get to spend more time here, we'll definitely see it. They have the largest Sagre del Cinghiale out of all of Italy here in Chianni. It's the biggest one. And it goes for 2 weeks, so over 2 weekends. And they even have a bishop turn up and walk through the streets blessing, the hunters and this, and they walk through the streets with the cinghiale, and obviously everything you eat is based on that.
That's right.
But literally, you can't find a room anywhere near this place for those 2 weeks in November because it's such a huge and well-loved sagra that is very famous now because it's been going on for so long. So I love how they do all that kind of thing. On a more kind of just regular weekly thing, during summer here, every Thursday night, they have like a street market with pop-up food from all the local farmers. So people come up and they might make you hamburgers from their meat, from their own animals, and grilled vegetables and all the different things, and they come with their homemade olive oil, and they come with their artisan beer, and then there's other little things being sold as well, people that make things, different crafts and things like that.
Yes.
And it's every Thursday night throughout summer for 2 months, and it's always live music in the streets, and people dance in the streets. Beautiful. And it's just gorgeous, and I love that. Because I think it's, again, that community thing where you're bringing community together to have fun. You've got from little babies through to old nonnas, doing YMCA if they have a disco night or whatever. And those kind of things, to me, just to look around and think, isn't this wonderful to see all the generations just out having fun? With simple things. And I think in today's world a lot of that is lost, especially when you live in big cities. I really love that sense of smaller community with everyone. No one looks at anyone else and thinks about how you're dressed, or do you look funny, or do you look... There's no judgment. Everyone's just there as they are, themselves, having fun, and it's just perfect. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And what you just said there is so true. I found that very interesting that you pointed that out. There is no judgment. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. It is. We notice that very much so in Puglia, going to the beaches. Yeah. Here, there is this stigma of what you wear, how you've got to look, and it's not there in the south at all, in the south of Italy. So, and you're saying just there. Right there, everything's unconditional.
I don't think it matters where you are, to be honest with you, from north to south. I don't know. Yes. There might be some places, but there obviously are. But honestly, I've never come across it here at all. No. It doesn't. There's no judgment at all on people. You can the workman that comes in from the farm that's dirty in his dirty clothes, and the person. It doesn't matter who it is or how everyone it's just you're taken for you.
Yes, which is beautiful. Like everyone's equal, everyone's helping one another. It's just beautiful.
So it's just about getting together and living the life and having fun and making the most of each day. And they have this beautiful, actually there's a saying, if I can mention it, on the side of our a building we have this beautiful panorama in the village, and there's on the side of the building there's a plaque written by a very famous poet that was born here in Chianni, and I don't remember the exact wordings, but basically the translation of it in English would be something like, I love to live in a place where people don't take it for granted that one day they won't be here anymore. In other words, they live for the day.
Yes.
In other words, it's carpe diem, seize the moment, live for the day, and appreciate the life you have, because you won't be here forever.
That's right.
And so if that's the philosophy of where you live, it makes you want to really live the best possible life that you can.
Yes, be in the moment, like that. Yes, just breathe, and that's so true. That is very, very true. Wow, that's just beautiful. Well, I hope we've inspired people out there that think there is a roadblock there. A lot of people have this dream. We've spoken to so many people, and we get a lot of emails, and I'm sure Marisa gets emails and messages like we do, always asking, how is it possible? And you know, they have these roadblocks, and some of them, we'll have to give up our dream. You can get around these roadblocks, and you'll see with Mark and Lee's story where they couldn't get their ER visa because they just couldn't wait the 2 to 3 years. So they've decided to travel 3 years and do the Schengen Shuffle instead. So their dream of Italy doesn't, slip by them. So there's always a way of, whether you want to buy the property, whether you want to go to live there, whether you just want to travel there for 3-4 years and maybe just rent 3 months in and out. There's always, it can happen. It can happen. Planning is key, though.
Yes,
planning is key.
Most definitely.
So we really want to thank Marisa for being here today, and I just hope everyone goes and follows her channel and see her journey there.
We'll put a link in the description below.
Yes, we will. We'll put a link in that description below, so you can go to her channel. Marisa's also written 2 wonderful books, which I had the pleasure of buying and reading earlier this year. And so, yes, do follow her. And if anyone is looking to buy in Tuscany, now 1 or 2 people have asked me who my contact was, and I did forward the information to them. So now you actually get to see her. So this was our contact, Marisa, in Tuscany. So if you do need any help, please go to her YouTube, and we might even put her email. I think your email's on your YouTube, isn't it, Marisa?
Yes, it is. But I can share it with you as well if you want to.
Yes, so we could help those that want to go in that Tuscan region where you are. So, all right. So we'd like to thank you so much for your time, and sorry that David couldn't be here. He'd left just before we got. We were so busy. We were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago, and we just one thing after another. So many things happened. So we missed him this time, but we'll have to get him on the next time.
That's right. Exactly.
All right. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you both very, very much for letting me share all of this with everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's always lovely speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marisa.
Ciao, ciao. Ci vediamo.
Ciao.
Ci vediamo.
A molto presto. Ciao, arrivederci.
Grazie.